Okay, so as I had said previously, my name is Ben Tice, owner and director of Skull Marketing. And today we're going to be learning about growing your business with social media in 2022. So, really understanding the different platforms that are out there, understanding how these, again, platforms are going to be not only connected to your business, but also how we can find the right fit for our business, and then ultimately how we can utilize them to grow our business. So really what we're going to be talking about is several things. So finding your voice within these kind of platforms, even just helping you, again, understand the different types of social media platforms out there. So again, we can see what ones, essentially fit you best. We'll also be going into kind of trends and also kind of techniques for each of the kind of the platforms, as well as overall with kind of social media too. So the first thing I kind of like to want to kind of get into when it comes to utilizing social media is understanding just social media as a whole. And honestly, these are kind of going to be techniques or strategies that are going to be applicable to any kind of platform you're on. So that's why we kind of like to start with these, and then we'll get into specific platforms and see how those are kind of different. So the first thing that you always want to realize is honestly the most important thing for social media, again, no matter what platform you're on, is that you want to essentially use social media to present yourself as an industry expert. And that could be presenting your company, i.e. like Skull Marketing as an industry expert, but also depending on your again, branding or strategy, it might be presenting you personally like Ben Tice also as the industry expert. The idea though is when we're posting, creating content, aggregating content, communicating, engaging with users, we're ultimately looking to be their industry expert. When someone is thinking of the products or services that you offer, we want to, kind of come, top of mind and know that if anybody has a question, that they know that they can kind of come to you. And that's why also we essentially want, how we become an industry expert is that we become and we want to be a resource for others. Now, that word resource can actually have a lot of meaning. And so when we talk about being a resource for people, is, again, the general kind of thought is that you want to give, ask, meaning that, again, for every one post that you're telling somebody about the service that you do, telling them about a sale you have going on, buying your product, buying your service, anything like that, you essentially want to give them two pieces of content that isn't really asking for that, or is, again, very silently asking for it, meaning like, for instance, you're just proving, that you are an industry expert. To give you some examples there, it could be a fact. It could be even just a humorous kind of joke. It could be an article to somewhere else. Again, it's something that you're providing something of value. It could be an escape. Again, sometimes even a joke or kind of humor, but more so, again, from a business perspective, it is going to be something that is useful that I can learn something or I can engage with that you're not asking me to necessarily buy something. It's honestly the number one mistake that we see small business owners make is they go onto social media and all they start doing is selling. I'm sure all of us can relate that, again, the last thing we just want to, see from a company is just buy this, buy this, buy this, and everything like that. Now, again, as a business, we want to make sure that we, flow that into there. And we'll kind of get into knowing the different platforms, how you'll be able to kind of sense the tone, sense the audience, sense the cadence, again, with all of these kind of things. But a general rule of thumb is you essentially want to be providing, again, two times the content that's more of just resource or industry expert kind of basis than asking someone or telling someone to buy your products or services. It's also important to know that, again, when we're talking about social media, yes, you have both business and personal pages. When I go to Facebook, I have my Ben Tice personal page and I have my Skull Marketing, again, business page there. You essentially want to kind of keep them separate. And so it's important to realize that, yes, on your personal Facebook page, you can talk about your business, but really, long-term value is going to be building up your kind of business page kind of from there. So like just an example, just using myself is, yes, I talk about Skull Marketing and Tailgate Spices and some of my other businesses that I kind of have on my personal page, but I really leave the majority of that for those actual business pages that are on Facebook. And so it's just important to kind of realize that again, long-term value, LTV of, again, this strategy is going to be building up your business page, again, for each one of these applicable platforms. Now, the only exception, which we'll get into at a later point, is kind of LinkedIn. That's the only one that's a little bit more of kind of a gray area. But for the most part, again, you want to have some differentiation between your business and your personal page. The other thing to really understand, and again, if we don't understand this next point, I guarantee you will get frustrated with social media and you most likely will quit it and it's not going to work for you. The thing with social media, another big mistake that we see is that people don't set the right expectations. Is they jump into social media thinking it's going to be like SEO or it's going to be like Google Ads, where it's all about lead generation. That's not necessarily the case. It's a piece of the value that we get from social media, but it's not the main kind of factor. That's where it's also different than a lot of other, again, not only digital marketing, but marketing just in general. Again, when we compare it to running ads on, Google, when Skoll Marketing runs ads on Google for, hey, if you're looking for a website developer or an SEO specialist, all I'm looking for is pretty much leads to get people from point A to contact us in point B to potentially kind of set up a call to do there. Social media is a little bit different. We really can kind of split it into four main factors that can kind of benefit us. The first one is branding. Just being on social media, there's almost now an expectation that if you are a business, that you should be on social media. It doesn't mean every platform, and again, we'll get into some of that, but there is kind of just a way that you can help brand yourself, help modernize yourself, again, also peel back the curtain. Social media is a great way, and again, we'll be talking more about this kind of stuff, but it lets you humanize yourself, those types of things. So it really, really, really does help with branding. It also helps with customer service. Again, studies show that, as more and more people get comfortable with, social media and just other platforms, that, they'll go to those platforms sometimes to, again, it allows you, because you are humanizing ourselves, to be able to reach out on their terms on, again, instead of sometimes your contact form or calling or texting sometimes. And so there is kind of a customer service, not only from a customer point of view, being able to contact you, but it's also, as I'm sure we've all been able to kind of see, you can also communicate with, again, potential customers or customers with, again, potential open, or immediate updates. If you have an immediate closure, if you guys, again, have to end an event early, those types of kind of things. That all kind of fits under customer service. But then the last two are going to be what we ultimately kind of want, which is going to lead generation. So there is a value with SEO or search engine optimization with social media that's important to kind of realize. But then the other ones, going up to, again, a couple bullet points and looking at the give, ask type of mentality we talked about, is we ultimately are going to be asking our users or putting a call to action out there. So again, you can see that, yes, ultimately, if we do this right, this will lead to sales, this will lead to business growth. But again, it's setting the right expectations that we can't just rush into this, that it's going to take time. It's, again, it is kind of like, we're developing hundreds to thousands of mini business relationships with all of our followers. And if you went into a BNI meeting, if you guys went into an SBDC, again, kind of networking group and just started saying, again, hey, Diane, this is what I offer, buy from me. Again, hey, Amanda, this is what I do, buy from me. It's not going to come off the greatest. And so think about it that way when we're looking to, not only potentially create, but establish and grow our social media presence. That's ultimately what we're looking for. Another really big tip too is to reuse content, because probably one of the third things that really, again, frustrates or is a mistake by business owners is going to be that we get overwhelmed with the amount of content that we need to create. And unfortunately, it's only growing. The amount and the different types of content that we need to create to keep up with the algorithms, to kind of keep up with the Joneses, essentially, is just unfortunately kind of growing. But you can help yourself by remembering to reuse content. And what I mean by that is, like, for instance, if you wrote a blog 3 months ago or this month, 3 years ago, whatever it might be, again, like, it's a perfect example to say, hey, go use that blog and let's try and split up, again, different facts, different soliloquies, different, again, excerpts from that blog that we can make into posts that are a resource for people. We could also make that blog into a video, but taking the same content and then being able to do that. Maybe we take that blog and make it into an infographic. So what I like to try to implore you guys to do is look at some of the resources, again, that you've already created. The website, your website is usually the first place to kind of start, but also look at maybe you've made, again, different PDFs or brochures or videos in the past or things like that. Start with those, and again, most likely will be amazed at how many little snippets you could kind of create out of there to now kind of create posts. And that's just another kind of tip that I like to kind of give people, because it can help you when you start to potentially get a little overwhelmed if you're doing this yourself, or even if you're having others kind of do it. It's understanding, again, and setting those right expectations. Another really important thing is to find your voice. And what we're kind of, starting to really kind of talk about is figure out what social media platform best fits your business. Not only maybe from a, obviously from a content standpoint, because obviously every different social media platform out there distributes and engages, again, with content just a little bit differently, but also just, again, yours might be a better fit for some than others. Also, it might be, to the second point is, it might be resource based. Like I tell people, you always have three resources: time, energy, and budget. And so using those three resources, we might not be able to do every single social media platform out there. Honestly, I'll recommend to you, I wouldn't recommend doing every social media platform out there, because again, you're probably going to spread yourself too thin. And we have that whole quality versus quantity type of conundrum that can happen as well. It is important to know the different types of content that we can kind of post. And these are going to be, again, specific to each platform, but this kind of goes back to what I was talking about with reusing content. It's important to realize, though, with social media is that we can do obviously word content. You could just do a post that just has words. We can, of course, do image content, again, an image or an image with, content, with words. We can do video content. We can do polls. We can do, again, events, announcements. I'm just saying there's a lot of different types of content out there, and links to other, again, information. You kind of see right here to the right, again, which content is increasingly favored by consumers. So, right now is links to more information. This is a perfect way to drive potential, again, visitors to your website, or even just share a good link that you thought, cementing yourself as an industry expert. So it's important to not only realize what consumers are seeing, and feeling out there, and users, but also just, mixing in the different types of content that we can do, so that we can not only help ourselves, so it doesn't get so mundane, or that we're kind of mixing it up as well. Also, we need to make sure that we get on a schedule and post regularly. Sometimes these numbers do scare people, and these are even on the lower end, to be honest with you. People ask me, is like, hey, Ben, can you do too much content? And there obviously is a point where you could do, almost information overload. But some platforms, to be honest with you, you could be posting 2 times a day and be kind of right up there. Again, it goes a little bit of, using your resources. If you're more of a personal brand than an actual business brand, we usually see that if you're more of a personal brand, so if you're trying to brand yourself just as your kind of name, usually you need a little bit more kind of content than potentially kind of a business. Doesn't always kind of work that way, but it's a good kind of rule of thumb to kind of know. And so again, for small businesses, considering all of these factors, considering everything that's out there, and obviously looking at your guys' valuable time, energy, and budget, this is what we kind of talk about as a minimum to, again, ideal. Now, if you can go over that, great, more power to you, but just being realistic here of, again, knowing what it's like to grow a business, to start a business, and how you're getting pulled in all these different directions. Again, if we're going to take social media seriously, we need to make sure we at least carve out some time so we can not only get the value, but then also we can be setting ourselves up for the future as well. And I do recommend you look to kind of use a third-party application. I think this will also help you. And so you guys may, again, have heard of these, and you guys may be using these, but just some out there, again, Hootsuite, Buddy Media, Buffer, Loomly, Radar. There's a bunch of them literally out there now. But what these platforms allow you to do is to connect all of your social media platforms there, and then essentially manage them from one dashboard. And you can distribute content. You can a lot of times communicate and respond back to content. Now, most of these are paid, again, platforms out there, but it can save you a lot of time and energy. Again, being able to kind of set those, you can schedule posts out all of that kind of fun stuff. So I definitely encourage you to kind of look at some of those third-party applications. Now, it may not work for every single piece of content, but even if it was a third or half of the post that you're doing, if you can do that, of course, again, we're always looking to maximize our efficiency. Another thing to also look at is some trends that we're seeing from last year and then kind of growing into kind of this year. So one is kind of understanding the generations and the different generations platforms and messaging on them. So just to give you an example is, we are really seeing this. Now, every platform out there is going to have every generation, every gender, again, every demographic really represented. It's just being realistic that there's a majority and there's almost becomes a stereotype or a stigma attached to each one that is just important to kind of realize. Like, again, for instance, baby boomers are really associated now with Facebook. It's their number one, demographic that's on the platform. Millennials are with Instagram. You could say Gen Z is with TikTok. Now, again, that doesn't mean that Gen Z isn't on Facebook or isn't on, Instagram or LinkedIn, or that millennials aren't on, there. Like, again, of course, they're all represented, but you can start to get kind of a picture, and it's important to realize some of these of maybe how we would change some of the content, that's kind of directed towards it. Obviously, if we know those people are kind of on there, it might determine which platforms you go towards. If, for instance, if you are trying to reach, again, baby boomers over Gen Z, obviously, if we have a more, again, more acceptance around that demographic for a platform, obviously our value might be higher, or vice versa. And another, again, I kind of talked about this one previously, but another kind of trend is reusing content, like the meaning of it, but conforming it to the platform. Because sometimes I'll get asked and say, well, Ben, so do I need to have a content calendar just for Facebook, just for Instagram, just for LinkedIn, just for Twitter, et cetera, et cetera? And the answer is no, but. And the reason I just say that is you got two main points there. One is a lot of times what we do and we recommend, again, considering all of the factors and all of our resources, is it's okay to post about the same thing. And some of the messaging may be almost exact on the platforms, but most likely you might have to conform that message to the specific platform. And that kind of goes to the point too of, okay, what does that mean? Well, like for instance, Twitter, we have a certain amount of characters. So you might have to shorten your message or use different words or abbreviations. Instagram, for instance, can only use images. So if you just had a text announcement, you would have to accompany that with an image for that one to kind of be able to work. TikTok is only video based. So we'd have to take that written word if we did it that way and then make a video of it to be able to place it on that platform. So again, it's okay to use the same message. It's just understanding that as these platforms, continue to progress, the reason that there are different platforms are because there's, again, differentiating factors kind of between them. And it's just important to kind of realize that. Another big one that we kind of talk about is called user-generated content. What this is essentially is using content that other users or followers have kind of created and almost repurposing that. A couple prime examples of this would be like, for instance, reviews. Somebody writes you a review on Google or Facebook, you could almost take that, you could put that into Canva, you could put that into whatever you want and make kind of like a cool little post about it. Also, if someone, again, if you have, if someone tagged you in a, again, a post, and maybe they're holding your product or at your, again, location, looking to actually kind of utilize that content and almost repurpose that, again, for your own volition and be able to kind of utilize that as well. So again, we call that UGC, or user-generated content. Again, it goes back to trying to be creative with the amount that we can post. Another thing too that we see a lot of times is it's okay to even ask people for content. I do this with my other business with Tailgate Spices. We ask people a lot of times like, hey, can you take a picture of, again, the spices on the grill, take a picture of you at tailgating with the spices. And they're actually helping me do my job by giving me now pictures that I can utilize and create kind of a post around it. And honestly, it's a kind of a cool thing. People like seeing that, again, brands that they love, companies that they use and stuff like that are actually using their content. You get this kind of connection to that platform, which can, again, help not only, again, your business growth, but also just the overall view they have of you. So user-generated content is a really big one and something you should really kind of, look for and kind of pay attention to. Also, with a lot of the stuff that has happened over the past 2-3 years, studies have shown that users are much more socially conscious about different, again, social issues, but also how brands are reacting to them, either staying silent or being public about them. it's just important to realize, again, one way or the other, if you're going to speak or not and share your opinion about it, just knowing that studies have shown that, again, users are much, again, more conscious and conscientious of, again, who is saying and not only what they're saying, but if they're saying something as well. So I think that's just important to kind of realize. Also, again, we hear this word probably all the time, a social media influencer, or, again, just influencers in general. It's actually now studies have shown that the general kid in, school, the number one, again, job that is most likely talked about that they want to be when they grow up is an actual influencer. And so influencers, at the basic term of them, are just going to be kind of, honestly, they've cemented themselves as an industry expert in a certain kind of niche, even if that is entertainment, humor, again, skill set, whatever. And they've really honed in on that, and they've created content for that. So really what a social media influencer is going to be somebody that is, again, dedicating a lot of their time, a lot of their effort into essentially trying to make their job, their industry kind of expert. Where that comes into you is maybe you are trying to actually do that with your personal brand. It's usually more, that's another thing too, is social media influencers are essentially going to be more personal brands. But another kind of opportunity has been, and we've helped clients with this, and we've seen these kind of projects kind of, go through, is that you can also potentially partner with, again, influencers. It can be another marketing strategy. We're essentially partnering or paying for someone that's built up, again, in an engaging audience that most likely, obviously, if you are following them yourselves, if you know about them, they most likely are either in your industry or talking to your potential demographic. So there's a lot to kind of unpack there, but it is just important to realize that, yes, social media influencers may be a punchline for a lot of kind of things, but there can be a lot of value there from a business, not only potential partnering with them, but honestly, if you're stuck on what to post, where to post, how often, look at some of the influencers that are out there. Do some searching on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and see who's out there by searching for hashtags or keywords that that are related to either your industry or your demographic, and see what others are essentially doing. That's another easy way that influencers could help you guys generate kind of ideas and help you start to, again, implement your own plan for social media implementation. And last but not least, another big trend is social shopping. So this is predominantly is going to be a lot of Facebook and Instagram, but also can be applicable on Pinterest as well. This is where when we actually post a, again, any type of post with, like, for instance, like a picture, we can actually, again, set up a shop on Facebook or Instagram, and we can actually tag those images with products. So, again, it's almost an absolute now. If you have a, again, any type of product-based company, you make sure that you have those products set up within a Facebook or Instagram shop. And then this also allows you, remember, we go back to the give, ask type of mentality. This allows you to almost soft sell. So we can do an engaging type of post that isn't saying, hey, go buy this, again, product here. We can just, be showing off that product, if that's sunglasses or having a good time with, again, one of our hats on. And then we can simply just tag that photo with that actual kind of product. So again, something else to kind of look at, again, when we get into there, and that's just what we kind of call social shopping. Now getting into some of the different platforms to kind of, again, start to at least show you guys some of the, again, the differences between these and what type of content is going to kind of be on them. So starting with Facebook, it's, again, the most popular social media platform out there. It's been out there kind of the longest. I'm sure we all have an account or had an account. All of us obviously know about Facebook. Now, the interesting thing that's really happened with Facebook over the past several years has been this change in demographic. So, again, Facebook the average user now is 40 years old, is female, newer to technology, but we're actually still seeing a user growth. And this has been actually happening over the past 2-3 years. The 65 plus range is really seeing a huge user growth continuingly. And so again, this goes back to baby boomers. This is the number one kind of platform kind of on there. Another really big thing to kind of know about Facebook is that 66% of those, again, users that we talked about are actually daily users, and they average about 20 minutes per day on social media. So not only do we have a large amount of people on there and users, we also have a high quality amount of users, again, to go along with that. So that's a, again, that's a big thing, obviously, especially if you're going after that type of crowd, that 40 to 60, even 30 to 60, again, that little bit older crowd, again, from that perspective, that's what we're kind of, again, seeing there. Also, the one really nice thing about Facebook is pretty much any type of content that we're going to talk about or any type of post can be done on Facebook. You're going to see as we kind of go through, there are going to be limitations for other kind of platforms. And there's a strategy kind of behind that, and that works for those platforms. But Facebook is pretty much anybody and anything. So meaning that we can do links to other, again, kind of sites. We can, again, we don't really have too much of a character limit when we're posting kind of stuff there. So we can do blogs and articles, pictures and videos. We can do Facebook Live. We can just, again, come up with, updates and questions. We can start to have kind of conversations. So, Facebook is really built for any type of content kind of out there. And so, again, there's pros and cons with that. The pro is that, any type of content you really want to post, you don't have to worry about conforming it because it's really, again, unilateral to everything that you kind of want to do. Now, again, sometimes when we're engaging with Facebook and stuff like that, there's, potentially not a lot of continuity and the user experience can be different than some of the other platforms. But as a business, it's, again, very valuable. Facebook's also a great way to drive traffic to your site because we can put a link in there that someone can link or click and go right to your kind of website. Also, we can engage with users very easily because they can easily share our posts. They can easily comment. They can easily like or react to them. All of those types of kind of things, again, as well. We can also create events. We talked about social shopping. We can now promote products either by creating a shop, tagging different types of, again, images. Just some of the negatives. Now, competition is really going to be growing for all social media platforms out there. But obviously, when you have the most amount of people on a platform than any other social media out there, you're not only competing against, obviously, other businesses and the eyeballs there, but you're also competing, when someone's posting a dog picture and things like that for one of your followers or users. So it's just important to realize this is also why we want to consistently be doing, again, not just one post every week or one post every 2 weeks. We almost sometimes need to be thinking about when we're posting as almost fishing. Again, you can't catch a fish unless you throw your line into there. And so, the more times that in general, the more times you throw your line or your bait into the water, the higher chance you're at least obviously going to have to catching a fish rather than just holding onto your pole on the dock or the boat. So it's also kind of thinking about that. And that's kind of how that ties into making sure that we're consistently posting. I will say with Facebook is, and this can be very frustrating for some, is it absolutely has turned into a pay to play type of platform. And so what that means is, especially if you're just starting out, or if you have hundreds of, again, followers or even low thousands, honestly, at this point, is that you're just, again, like, it just because you have 1,000 followers doesn't mean that all 1,000 of them are going to see it. Doesn't mean that all 1,000 of them are going to like it and stuff like that. And so that's why, we need to continuously put out more content. Another reason for that. So because, again, just because you post something doesn't mean all of your followers are going to see it. Not only because they may not be on there at that time or within that day or that week, but also just because of how the algorithms work. But also it is important to know that really, if you are just starting out on Facebook, or again, like I said, if you've got, a few hundred, several hundred, a couple thousand, that's nothing to sneeze at. I know that took a lot of hard work there, but to really take yourself kind of to the next level, you need to think about setting aside a budget to essentially pay Facebook to help you, again, just get more exposure for your posts or your page. Now, something as simple as $1 a day, again, can really be beneficial for you either per post or kind of per platform. And so, we're not going to get into so much, advertising kind of today. I have a whole other workshop on that if you guys are kind of interested in some more information. But it is just important as you're starting to lay out your social media strategy, you really do honestly have to look at kind of that pay to play model and start to even put something as low as, maybe $30 a month towards Facebook to really help you accelerate your growth. If some people will say, well, Ben, I don't want to do that. I want to do it all organically. And you can do that. It's just going to take you a lot of time to kind of do. It's a lot of hard work. And I know how discouraging it can be is if you just start your social media kind of platform or your Facebook account and you start posting 4 or 5 times a day and you're barely getting 1 like per post, that can be very discouraging. That's another reason why I want to say that, again, to kind of set some of that budget out there. So you can, you're not paying for people, you're not paying for likes. What you're paying for is the exposure, because essentially what happens now is when you post something on Facebook, on average, it's only going to be seen between about 4 to 12% of your followers, because of how the algorithms kind of work kind of within there. And also being a business page, it's, again, it's less than an actual personal kind of pages from there. So like, these are all the things that we need to fight. Now, how you combat that is A, you can pay to kind of do it. B is having quality kind of content. C is having different types of content. And then D is posting kind of regular basis. So that's why we want to stack all these strategies on top of each other to be able to give us the best opportunity to not only grow our page, but also engage with users on that page. So here's just a little tip that I can kind of give you that Facebook has built in, that I always like to kind of remind any business owners that are managing their page, is that you have, again, essentially a one-time invite to all of your personal friends. Now, I know a lot of people, right when they start a Facebook page, they go on their personal page and they say, from the Ben Tice social media or Facebook page, go, hey guys, I just started my school marketing business page. Please go follow it here. And it'll get some followers, but it's really not going to do a whole ton, to be honest with you, especially with the way the algorithms work. But here, you can actually, like I said, you get a one-time invite for all of your friends. So if that's 200 friends or if that's 5,000 friends, is you get a one-time kind of invite. So you can actually go into your business page and you can actually find kind of the section there. It can be done on mobile or desktop. And you're able to kind of go, it's usually under the community section. So if you're looking for it, the problem is that Facebook kind of keeps moving things around because they're kind of changing some of the business pages and the user experience. But when in doubt, go into the community tab on your business page, and you will be able to kind of, again, go in there and start inviting your friends. A lot of times you can only invite a certain amount per day. It's usually up to 1,000, but I've also seen them cap it at less before. And then you have to kind of keep coming back until all of your friends have been invited. Again, once they're invited, you can never invite them again. It doesn't matter. But this is another great way. A lot of times we've seen that when you do send it, an invite to all of your friends, on average, we see about a 10 to 20%, again, kind of, like rate or buy-in rate. Meaning that, so if you send it out to 100 people, you might be able to get 10 to 20 likes just like that. So that's why it's also kind of important. The other one that's also ongoing that you can keep kind of checking as you go along, or as you even pay to promote your page or your posts, is that each individual page, you can actually also see who liked that or who loved or reacted to your posts, and you can individually like them. The reason that you might be asking yourself going, well, Ben, why would someone like my page or like my post when they're not even following me or liking my, again, page? And the answer for that is how social media works, is because your content doesn't just always go to the people that you're following. That's the main kind of source that Facebook is going to push that out to. But if, again, Diane and I, for instance, are, again, connected on Facebook and we're Facebook friends, and I like something, there's kind of a connection behind the scenes that Facebook goes, oh, well, maybe Diane will like this as well. And so that's how it can get into other people's feeds. And that's honestly how social media even kind of grows. So it's important to know, though, because they might have liked that one post, but if we don't get them to actually follow the page, they may not see as much of our content or maybe even any of our content moving forward. So again, the top one is going to be a one-time invite. The bottom one is going to be as you start to post content, as you start to boost posts, as you start to run ads and those types of things, you can actually see who engaged with that post but isn't following your page, and actually send them also a one-time invite. So these are two just kind of, again, tips or techniques that I like to kind of present to people to help you kind of grow your page kind of initially, so you can get some more return and start to grow that page and following of yours. Moving on to Instagram. So we've got, over 1 billion monthly users. We can start to see that the average user is going to change. This also goes kind of with the millennial kind of crowd. So 25 to 34, female, tech savvy. Very similar to Facebook, that we've got about 2/3 of people use on a daily basis. But the biggest difference with Instagram, and Instagram is actually owned by Facebook, is that the content has to be visual. Or again, we could go on Facebook and we could just post a poll, or we could just post a comment, or things like that. On Instagram, we have to have like an image or a video even if you're doing stories or going live or anything like that, it's all about more like visual content. That's ultimately what we're talking about here. Also, again, Instagram is very hashtag centric. So I usually kind of recommend, again, each post should have, at least several, again, different hashtags to help your discoverability. That's kind of the word we kind of talk about, because people can actually on Instagram, it's a really kind of cool feature is, users can essentially just follow a, again, hashtag. And hashtags are a way just to tag your posts about what they're about. So like, for instance, if I took a screenshot right now of this presentation, I posted this, I might hashtag it with hashtag social media, hashtag workshop, hashtag digital marketing. So if someone was following just the topic of digital marketing because they wanted to see more of that content within their feed, now my post, again, has the opportunity to show up there and be discovered by that person, have them potentially kind of follow me. So again, this is where hashtags can be very beneficial for you in that regard. Just like Facebook can also be very, very helpful for products. It can also be events as long as we have visuals with them, but even more so with products because we can also tag them on here and people can click on those and either purchase, depending on how you set it up, either right on that platform or just go right to your website and can be, again, purchasing that from there. So again, how we can kind of utilize that with the different kind of content is, of course, we can kind of gain more exposure with that discoverability factor. We can build up kind of a younger following. It's going to be younger than Facebook. Selling visual kind of products. Again, everything's going to be more kind of visual. Now, the one thing that, again, does throw people a little bit is going to be that it's essentially phone-based. Now, again, what's really nice though is that Instagram just allowed, actually like predominantly this year, that you can now go on a desktop and you can actually post from your desktop. Also, you can connect these to, third-party posting platforms. It can be a little cumbersome, and honestly, at this point, the only cumbersome stuff though is that you have to make sure they're in the right ratios. Meaning that, for instance, if you take a, portraits, again, kind of like the up and down long kind of photo, you might not be able to post that through a third-party application. You might have to crop it kind of down. So I will say what's really kind of nice is that Instagram has really been working on these things. So they are still essentially phone-based and, again, but you can now go on a desktop and you can at least post content. You won't be able to tag products. You won't be able to put, post to your story. You can't do everything on there, but it is kind of nice that you can now do that feature. Also with the third party, like I said, it can still be a little cumbersome, but it's way better than it used to be. And now we're able to kind of do things, but we might have to crop things. We might not be able to tag certain products in them as well. So again, we just have to look at the benefit. And that's why I said, when you're using a third-party application like Hootsuite, Buddy Media, Loomly, Radar, anything like that, it's important to know that you may not be able to do every single one of your posts from it, but even a third or half can really kind of help you kind of do that. The only, again, big thing that really kind of still sucks with Instagram is going to be that you can't have live links in your post. You can pay for them if you run an ad with your Instagram post. You can definitely do that. But, again, there are no links, again, in your post. So if you type, again, hey, to sign up now, go to my website at skollmarketing.com, is that it will just be the text of skollmarketing.com. They can't click on it. Whereas like if you did that on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, again, really almost all the other platforms, is someone could click on that and go right to your website. So it's important to kind of realize that and understand that we can't really do that. So we kind of have to tell them to go to our website, go to our profile so that you can, then get the link that goes to your website. There's some other strategy things that can go along with that, but you can't directly do it from there. And part of that also plays into the user experience though. Instagram, unlike Facebook, is very uniform, very clean, very neatly organized. All of the content looks very similar. It's very kind of structured. And so again, there's some pros and cons that kind of come along with that, but that's ultimately kind of what's going to be a really big difference between Instagram and Facebook. Looking at Twitter and kind of moving along here. So we've got, again, getting close to about 500 million monthly users. Average user we can see there, a lot of activity on mobile. But really the big thing with Twitter is that we now have a character limit of 280 characters. It used to be 140. They have doubled it over the past couple years. And so it is now 280 characters. But even within 280 characters, sometimes we still have to refine our messaging and make sure that it is, again, still fits within those limits. So this is where, like, for instance, like we talked about, we can do the same amount of, or the same kind of, again, meaning or what we're trying to post about, but we might have to make it a little bit abbreviated when it comes to Twitter. So tips, facts, quotes work really well. Retweeting, again, resharing other people's posts work better in Twitter than any other platform out there. It's very easy, it's encouraged, it helps you, again, add content to kind of your page, and it's just called a retweet, but you're really just sharing content. Again, how to kind of utilize Twitter. Obviously, we can utilize it to, again, push content out there, engage with, and get to know followers and customers, again, more. A lot of people use, again, Twitter for customer service. But another really big way that I like to have companies use, again, Twitter, is that you can essentially make lists and you can put different people, different companies that you want to follow, or influencers or whomever, into those lists, and then you can just go to that list and you'll only get like their kind of tweets or activity. Why that's beneficial is you can almost be like a fly on the wall and start to see the content that they're posting. You might want to just retweet that. You might want to take that content and create your own. Maybe it might just be educational for yourself as well. So I really like using Twitter as a way to kind of see what other, again, bigger industry experts are doing in the field and some of the content that they're posting, as well as keeping up to, a lot of times the most up-to-date minute-wise, again, kind of news and everything, not only in your industry, but also can be entertainment and personally as well. So it's just kind of looking at that, again, some negatives can be, a lot of tweets can be expected, especially when we start putting in the retweets. So it's just kind of, when we start talking about 2 to 3 posts per week, sometimes with Twitter, we even say like, hey, you should almost double that with retweets or, again, things like that to kind of, again, flesh out and get more content on there, which obviously can just take more time from that as well. But Twitter can be very beneficial. What we do see, though, is I will say this, is we're starting to see that Twitter is becoming much more valuable for personal brands and not so much business brands. And again, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be on them, that you can't be on them. But, again, like it's going to be utilized and your value is definitely going to be seen differently compared to Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram that we're kind of talking about. So again, if you're doing more of a personal brand, absolutely on Twitter. If you're just going to maybe be starting a Twitter account for your business, you may want to, second guess or just, double think that a little bit, because you might get a better value at some of the other, platforms that we're kind of talking about here, just with the way that Twitter, again, how it's engaged and everything like that. Looking at LinkedIn. So I had kind of talked about that this is a very unique kind of platform out there. And so really what we're, again, looking at is LinkedIn is very unique is because we have a personal page and a business page, and they're pretty much doing the exact same thing, which is trying to promote your business. So again, like when we're looking at that, is that, again, like when I look at my Facebook page, like I said, I might post a little bit about Skull Marketing or Tailgate Spices or whatever I'm kind of doing, but a lot of times it's Ben Tice's personal stuff that's going on, going to Vikings games, talking about our pets, going out to dinner, that kind of fun stuff. When it gets into LinkedIn, though, is LinkedIn is much more business orientated. And so it's just really important to kind of understand that and look at that, because also even the content that we post on LinkedIn, we get to be a little bit more direct. So even going back to that give, ask mentality that we kind of talked about previously, we still want to do that here. But within LinkedIn, we can be a little bit more direct. We can be a little bit more asking or kind of call to action wise, because pretty much LinkedIn is all surrounding business. Now, obviously there's personal and there's humor within business, but, again, LinkedIn and the LinkedIn community, again, definitely doesn't want LinkedIn to become Facebook. This isn't the place just to post about, again, your pet or your, again, your burger or, things like that, unless you can tie it into business. I've seen a lot of people do some really good posts about, again, maybe they had an issue with their, again, their kid, and they turn that into how they also manage their employees or something like that. Or they saw, an animal do something with animal video, and we turn that into teamwork and, again, part of a pack. So, I mean, like there's some creative ways you can do that, But it is important to realize that when you're on LinkedIn, you want to make sure that that's much more, business, again, focus than almost any other platforms out there. And also realizing that if you are on LinkedIn, you most likely should be posting on both your personal, like Ben Tice LinkedIn page, but also your Skull Marketing, again, LinkedIn business page. Because again, they're both doing the exact same thing there. And if you had to pick one, I would probably err on the side of the personal page, because the way that the algorithms work, that content is going to get out there further. But it is really nice to build up your business page for that long-term value as well. So again, things like case studies, infographics, videos, facts, statistics, you can just see that they are a little bit more business, focused, and are a little bit more kind of stricter. Ways that we can use it. LinkedIn has some great group functionalities, very similar to Facebook, but also business, again, focused from there. So being able to participate in those groups. On your personal page, it's essentially a virtual resume. Studies have shown that some people will go to LinkedIn looking for an expert instead of going on Google Maps or, looking there, because they can actually see, who they're connected to. They can actually see some of your status or some of your, again, own personal kind of experience there. So it's important to kind of realize that. But, again, the business versus personal thing can sometimes kind of throw people. But, like I said, try to post on both. If you had to pick one, pick the personal page. Also, LinkedIn also has a feature similar to Facebook that we kind of talked about previously that lets you invite connections to your business. Now, it's a little bit different, whereas, Facebook can sometimes let you, again, do hundreds, if not 1,000 per day. LinkedIn will only let you on average do about 100 per month. They are experimenting, and you might see that they've upped it to some people to 250 per month, but still that's a vastly different amount than, for instance, Facebook. But it still is a great way. Like, for instance, honestly, every month I have a reminder on my calendar to go to the Skull Marketing LinkedIn page and, again, essentially, invite upwards of 250 people, because I've been granted 250 credits per month. And, again, be able to kind of help grow our page kind of from there as well. So another way that you can kind of do that, you would do that on your actual company page, and it'd be under the admin tools under Invite Connect Connections. So again, another great way that you can hopefully kind of start right away and start growing that page from there. Google My Business. The reason I, again, mentioned this one, and honestly, they've just changed the name again to Google Business Profile, but most of us still know it as Google My Business, and that's why I like to kind of leave it that way. But this is essentially going to be this is what Google Plus used to be. So if you're familiar with Google Plus, and Diane and I go way back to my days at Google when we used to actually do presentations on Google Plus. But unfortunately, Google Plus was deprecated now, I believe it was 3 years ago. So, but what they did, and the reason I'm still talking about this is that they took what essentially Google Plus was Google's version of Facebook. But they took the feature of posting content and now put that onto your Google My Business or your Google Business Profile page. So when you go into your Google My Business kind of profile page, these are like the little red pins on the map when you're searching for something, you can actually do content and kind of post from there. So again, like a lot of times we're not going to be able, we're not going to see, for instance, you're not going to be posting the same amount of stuff that's on all of your other kind of social media. Like you wouldn't post blogs on here or stuff like that. Here, what really works though is, events, announcements, some general social media posts of just, again, if it's facts or things like that. But you really want to kind of keep it really geared towards the business. This one, you don't necessarily have to worry about the give, ask, because this is all about just your profile and just about your business and getting people, again, to just supplement, again, your page or your information with that. So just kind of know that this is the one exception to kind of the give, ask, again, that goes along with that. So some positives is that you're going to be able to show up better on Google Maps. You can actually display if someone's looking for your, again, business on the right-hand side. If you've ever seen pictures of yourself and reviews, that's called a knowledge graph. These actually get shown there. Obviously, reviews can kind of play a part into this. And so it's just, if you have a Google My Business, again, page or Google Business Profile, is you just want to make sure that you're utilizing this technique because it can help you actually rank better within that platform. Okay, moving along. I know this is a lot of platforms, but we've got a lot of platforms in today's world. So Pinterest. So Pinterest is essentially the biggest thing that is going to be different between all the platforms we're talking about is it's only images or pins. And so really what can really work is different images, checklists, samples of works. And really what you do on Pinterest is all of your pins, again, we collect all of them, and collections of pins are called boards. And then each user gets to go on. And if I have a travel board, I'm looking for cool places to go, cool activities. And the hope is, as you as a business and a business profile on Pinterest, your hope is that me as a user takes your pin and puts it onto their board, not only obviously sharing it, but also hopefully that they're trying to make a decision if that's maybe a place to stay, product to do, and to be able to kind of, again, contact us. This is one that we kind of talked about before too, is you can actually tag products on Pinterest. So again, if I'm doing maybe, I take a picture of a kitchen, beautiful remodeled kitchen, that we, again, me as, XYZ remodeling did, then what we can essentially do is I could tag the lighting fixtures. I could tag the different, again, countertops, and maybe it's something I sell or, again, whatnot, but you can actually tag those images kind of within there. You can also drive, good traffic to your website too. So again, this is one that we can have a link people can kind of leave to kind of have there. Now with Pinterest is, again, it has to be all visual. So sometimes that can just kind of throw people and just kind of has to kind of fit within there. It is very niche, just, again, what that is, sometimes Pinterest gets, tagged kind of the mom platform, just because, again, it is predominantly either, again, female and, again, moms, that are on there. But again, there are other people there. Another really, really, really big thing with Pinterest that can benefit you is if you ever go to Google Images, if you're ever searching on google.com and you switch over to like the images tab, a lot of those images are actually pulled from Pinterest. So if you want the possibility to have your pictures on, again, Google search, which obviously can help you, not only people use those, but people even finding your website at another avenue, Pinterest can be a fantastic way for that as well. So just a couple more here. So Snapchat. So a couple of things I just kind of want to mention, again, with Snapchat is that Snapchat is an interesting one because while all the other platforms are social media first and communication platform second, meaning that obviously on Facebook, I can do video chat, I can do messaging, but it's meant to be a social media platform first. Snapchat is literally almost like a 50-50 split between a social media platform and a communication, again, kind of platform there. So Snapchat, I'll be honest, doesn't usually, it's usually not the best option for small businesses. Because again, the whole premise behind Snapchat is that your content is realistically only lasting about, again, 24 hours. There's some exceptions there and things like that, but realistically, your content is only lasting about 24 hours. It's completely phone-based, so you have to go into kind of that app, again, there's not a ton of actionable content. It's very much visual. You can start to do some ads and stuff like that, and do some fun things with Snapchats. Like if you have events, you can do like personalized frames. So if someone, again, you can draw a geographic area, like if you're just doing a cool event and you can do those sorts of things, those can be kind of cool. But again, when we put, again, our resources to work as a small business, a lot of times Snapchat just isn't going to most likely get you to where you want to kind of go. If you're looking for more of the video and kind of visual kind of content in this vein, that's where TikTok has kind of come into play. Fastest growing social media platform out there by far. Very, very popular with Gen Z, but also all other, again, demographics from there. And really TikTok is all video based. So, again, it's not only, again, still a viral trend, again, our videos can obviously go viral. Our TikToks can obviously go viral on TikTok and also get shared onto other platforms as well. But TikTok can be a very, again, useful, again, kind of platform. Also as a business, yes, you can make fun and cute little videos there, but you can also make informational ones. You can do, again, how to do your taxes in Minnesota, how to make sure you're charging the right sales tax in Idaho. What is SEO and, again, things like that. So it doesn't, just is TikTok isn't just a platform just for you to just kind of create silly and funny videos. You can definitely do that, and most people do. But, from a business perspective, it can be a way to really kind of visualize and to be able to do that. Now, it can be tricky for people because, again, if you're just getting into social media, it's going to be asking a lot of you. You have to be on camera. You have to create all the content essentially like in the moment. Yes, you can splice things together and do that, but unlike, again, Facebook and Instagram, where you can schedule these out, you can kind of come back to them and do that. That's not necessarily kind of how it works with TikTok. So, again, like there's just, again, there's still, TikTok isn't, it's newer. It's not just hey, it's brand new. Obviously, we've heard about it for a couple of years and things like that, but it's still growing. It's still kind of changing, but highly recommend if you are looking to be, again, a little bit more cutting edge, if you are looking to connect with the younger audience, if you're, honestly, I tell this to people, anything, video has to be a part of your digital marketing strategy. If that's within SEO, if that's within marketing, if that's within social media. So TikTok can sometimes help you get there because you have to create videos, again, essentially for it. So definitely encourage you to really think about TikTok, but it might be one of those that maybe you grow into depending on where your status is right now with the other types of platforms out there. And here's just kind of a little graph to kind of show you the social media etiquette. Again, it's just again, like this isn't necessarily to scale, but to show ones that are more business, again, focused to more socially kind of focused. Just to give you kind of an idea of maybe some of the tone, the etiquette, the content that is going to maybe potentially play better on those platforms compared to others. And last but not least is, like I said, we have a whole other presentation for this, but it is important to realize that all of these platforms have an advertising kind of model. And it's actually a good thing to start to prepare and start to look into these things. Now, you're never going to go into any of these platforms and you're not buying likes or buying followers. What you're buying essentially is the exposure to targeted demographics. And that's the beauty of Facebook. The big difference between, advertising on Google and advertising on social media is it's a philosophical difference. When I'm advertising somebody on Google, I'm going after somebody that's in the mindset is actually searching for me. There's obviously a great value there, but there's a lot of times that there might be things that you might want to advertise that people aren't necessarily searching for, don't know how to search, don't know they exist. That's what's great about social media is we get to go after people we think would be interested in our products or services. We get to bring something to them super visually right in front of their face. And Facebook has, or I should just say Facebook, but social media has all of this information because every time you like something, you comment, you share, you follow a page, you're essentially growing into your profile so that they know your likes and your dislikes. Obviously, it can be creepy as a user, but as a marketer, it's fantastic. And we're able to kind of capitalize kind of on that. Also, as you're going through different advertising, you might see two different models. You might see the words PPC or boosting or sponsoring. Really what that is going to be is just understanding that PPC is going to be, again, you're getting charged every time that someone actually clicks on your, again, advertisement again, like you're just getting charged then. Booster or sponsoring is you're just paying for the distribution and how many clicks, if it's 1 or 1 million, that's how many you kind of get. So it's just a different way to kind of do things. Most often on social media, it's boosting and sponsoring. And PPC is most likely how you're doing kind of on Google. But you do see some differences between them, and some platforms offer both. And so it's just important to kind of realize that. So with that said, I want to open it up to questions. I know we've got some here in the chat. If you guys do have any more questions, please put them in here, and I'll be happy to be able to kind of answer them. So the first question is that will you guys have access to the PowerPoint presentation? The answer is yes. So I will be sending you guys not only a recording of this, but also a PDF, again, platform. I also have a question that says, Ben, I'm a small business just starting out. What would be the best platform for me? Again, that's a little bit tougher question to kind of answer just because, again, it depends on your demographic. It depends on your business. I will say, when in doubt, if you're asking me, without knowing those types of things, I would say Facebook is usually a really good way to start for a couple reasons. Again, most likely you are going after some, baby boomers or older, older millennials and stuff like that. That usually tends to be kind of, the buying power right now. And so that's, again, a huge kind of benefit. Also, you don't usually need to work, you don't need to worry a lot on restrictions of the different types of content that you can do. Also, I really do love, and I feel like it really does help business owners when you have that built-in capability to start to invite your friends or people that like your post right away to be able to build up your following, again, faster. I, again, just know how discouraging it can be when you're posting and you're not getting any engagement and you're posting out really good content. There's just that psychological piece. So if I had to say, again, one there, that does not mean that you shouldn't be looking at TikTok or Instagram or LinkedIn. Those are very, very, again, important ones. And if I knew more about kind of the business or the demographic, that might change. But just letting you know which one I would say just from that perspective. Perfect. Deirdre, did you have a question? If you want to unmute yourself or if you want to chat it.
Actually, yes. My question, I wanted to know if you could give us the definition again of the PPC and the boosting or sponsoring.
Yep. So PPC is pay per click. So it's essentially going to be that you're going to put your ads out there and you're only going to get charged when someone actually clicks on that ad and most likely is going to your website. Now it's going to be a higher cost per click because again, you're paying for the actual action of it at the end of the day, but it can be super valuable because you're only paying for those. But the other way though, and this also kind of depends on how good your ad is, how good your creative is. Boosting and sponsoring is that you're going to go to this platform and say, hey, here's $100, and they're just going to blast it to as many people as they can within that dollar amount. And then however many clicks you get, that's what you get for that. So one is you're paying up front for it, and the other ones you're paying kind of at the end of it. There's really no right or wrong, because a lot of times I'll get that question of which one's better. It's not an answer of being better. It's an answer of being sometimes a better fit for different types of campaigns.
Okay.
And also different platforms. Because honestly, like Google is mainly PPC. Facebook and some of the other social medias on average mainly is boosting and sponsoring. So you also have that sometimes decided for you.
Yeah, because I was going to say, that's what I do on Facebook, where I have done. I haven't done it lately, but like for some of my ads, and then it tells you approximately how many people it will reach for
exactly.
that. Okay.
And I encourage you to check out, like I said, we also do a, again, intro to social media advertising workshop. And that kind of actually leads me into just, again, a quick, again, note or plug that you guys want to see our upcoming, again, workshop schedule, go to skomarketing.com/workshops. You can also sign up for kind of our newsletter. Or we've also, obviously during COVID, we've also been recording a lot of these workshops and putting, again, them on YouTube. So if you want to just kind of catch them on demand, you can go to our YouTube channel. Obviously, if you want to catch them live and be able to interact with me and stuff like that, go to our, again, workshops schedule and see those ones that are coming out.
And then I do have one other question.
Yeah.
Which platform would you suggest, I guess, if we are doing more products and selling?
Yep. Absolutely. Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
It's just the easiest way because of that social shopping just built in. It honestly, it's so awesome. I'm not going to lie, depending on what your e-commerce system is, like where your website is built and stuff like that, what's kind of cool is there, again, can be some integrations that it can pull all your, products over there. There are some cases where it doesn't work with every system out there and you might have to individually do them, which can be a little bit of work. But I will say, even if you had to recreate all your products on Facebook, it's going to be well worth it in the end.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Does anybody else have any questions? And if not, okay. Again, this is why I again, am giving you guys my contact information, that if you guys do have any further questions ongoing, please feel free to reach out. You can obviously also, I encourage you to connect with me on LinkedIn and can, love engaging and helping people on that kind of realm as well. The last thing that I'll also say is that, another way that Sko Marketing gives back besides doing these, again, workshops is that we also offer free, again, consultations. These aren't sales pitches. If you actually want to talk to us about utilizing Sko Marketing to help you grow online in our services, we can absolutely talk about that. But literally, we just offer another way that if you have further questions, you want me to look at something on your social media, obviously I have to do classroom style here, so I can't, again, curtail everything to exactly, your demographics. But I really encourage you guys to take advantage of, like I said, it is our way of just kind of giving back. We love engaging and seeing how we can help. If you want to take advantage of those free, again, no obligation consultations, just send me an email. And again, if you also want to talk to us about our services, please feel free to reach out at our number or our email as well. But with that said, I do want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys, again, for the great questions. I hope you guys learned some stuff along the way and, stay in touch. But with that, thank you guys and skål.